everyone. You're listening to Another Way Around, episode number 33. Yeah. What's up, guys? Josh. I'm here with Josh Hinkey. He is live from Chicago. Hi.
Yes. What up, yo?
There we go.
Okay.
Greg. I'm here with Greg Angela Rocca.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm here.
He's here and in character, so we're doing all right. How's everything, guys? I haven't talked to you guys in a while.
Hey, we're doing all right.
Right? This 2 weeks. A lot has happened in 2 weeks for Another Way Around. No?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of new things going on.
A lot of new things going on.
On the internet.
Internet things.
I don't know if any of you guys have noticed, but we have a new website. Remember, for like months and months and months, I was like, guys, we're going to do something. We're going to do it. Something's going to happen. We're going to make it happen.
And thanks to me, I pulled it all together. And really, John actually spent the whole of, what was it, last week? Or 2 weeks ago?
With a little bit of help from one of our coder friends, Matt LeBrun. He directed me in some directions that I wouldn't normally be able to find myself. So thanks, Matt. And any hiccups, I usually go to him at the risk of giving him a pretty big headache. But Josh has written some articles for us so far. He's got a Thief review up there. I have like half a Donkey Kong review. I never went back and finished that, so sorry about that. But yeah, we've been posting news and content, and this is actually our first podcast since the new site. So come on, guys. Yeah.
Yay!
Clapping alone. Sound of one man clapping. So it's good. Josh is doing a really good job with the couple of pieces that he wrote. I admire your writing, Josh.
Well, thank you, sir.
Well, because it's like I was trying to do some more writing, but a lot of my writing is like I took a lot of poetry and fiction and stuff. You're more the journalistic minded, so I aspire to write as good as you do, sir.
It was not always so. You can ask numerous people. I used to write train wrecks, and I have only gotten better over time. Time has been my ally, and nothing else.
I'm only doing this so you just keep writing for us.
Uh-huh.
I'm not. I don't mean any of what I'm saying.
You goddamn liar.
But yeah, guys, if you haven't been on our website yet that I say every week, it's theawaycast.com or AwayCast.com. We don't have anotherwayaround.com because, Greg, who does that belong to?
Some Japanese hemorrhoid cream company.
I swear to God, and Greg swears, and so does Josh, that's entirely true.
Yeah, well, you can...
Well, I don't swear yet. I just found out about this. What is the story behind this?
You can go, if you go to anotherwayaround.com. I'll go there right now, anotherwayaround.com.
And you use Google to translate the site. I don't know, it's a Japanese or... Is it Japanese?
I believe it's a Japanese... Oh, it's forbidden. Hang on one second. Let me go back to that.
From what I've translated last time, it's about managing your hemorrhoids. So we got that going for us.
I can't get it to
Are you
load
looking,
for some
Josh?
reason.
Is that what you're doing?
I can't get it up.
Yeah. So I wonder what the marketing pitch was. Like, another way around hemorrhoids, how to get away from hemorrhoids.
Yeah, probably what it is.
I don't know, man.
Over there.
Because it's in Japanese.
So does that mean we have to change everything?
Unless what we should do is we should try to get this guy on as a sponsor.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
okay.
That's smart.
Okay.
Now, if you Google Another Way Around, our website comes out first. I've yet to come across hemorrhoid cream.
Right. I don't know. When you put it Another Way Around, it's AwayCast.com for now. Maybe I'll contact Dr. Whatever his name is, Dr. Hemorrhoid Cream Man, and maybe I'll try to get that.
Yeah.
Get that domain, because he's not helping us.
No, he's not.
But he's helping some people.
Helping some people who have hemorrhoids.
Hemorrhoids.
Doing the Lord's work over there in Japan.
Yeah, of course. But we have video game news to talk about and stuff about life and a new site to promote. So hemorrhoids, that's probably actually a pretty good search. Maybe we'll put a keyword hemorrhoid on our site, and this way we'll steal his audience.
Mm-hmm, I like that.
Yeah.
Suddenly our hits are just going to skyrocket from Japan.
Out of nowhere. But then I'm going to be getting hate mail like, this is all about entertainment and video games, whereas my hemorrhoids are killing me.
We're going to have to add a portion to the show where we discuss hemorrhoids. We'll have to actually probably get Dr. Yakasako, whatever his name is, on the show for a segment every week. And I think that's how we'll be able to kind of merge a partnership.
That's pretty funny.
Can we call this segment Sake Bomb? That's what I want it to be.
Okay.
It'll be like Loveline, kind of like, all right, our lines are open. Call in. Ask Dr. What was his name, Craig?
Dr. Drew.
Dr. Drew.
Oh no, that's the original Loveline guy.
Drew Asaka.
Drew Asaka
Here to take your questions. Caller, go ahead.
We have 3 people who know nothing about hemorrhoids and 1 who is an expert. So
that's actually a great idea. If we just what if we just become like a help show?
Oh, okay. You guys stuck on the third boss? Just give us a call. We'll give you a tip how to beat him.
That's a funny skit, though.
It could be.
That could be a funny skit where we get a fake caller. We'll get Ricky in the other room.
Well, don't say we got a fake caller. It's funnier when people don't know, like all those Jimmy Kimmel things
I already
that he does.
said it's a skit, and we're not Jimmy Kimmel. We have like 16 listeners.
That's okay. Well, we got more than that.
Well, it's 17 to 18 listeners, but
I would say
we'll have to wait.
19.
Like, we gotta wait on it, and then wait for people to forget that we plan this, skit idea out, and then we'll do it in 2 to 3 months.
There's only like a 10% chance we're actually going to follow through with anything.
I'd say much less than 10%.
Less than 10?
Yeah.
All right.
I just think that let's keep this idea, and next year at the same time, we'll hopefully people will forget, and we'll do it.
Yeah, we can do that, and we could prank call your ice cream shop.
Yeah,
that you were going to open.
What was that called again?
I don't think we could say the name anymore.
We're
right?
not allowed to say the name anymore. That's correct. I got in trouble for that.
You got a cease and desist letter, right?
Sort of something like that.
Yeah, you almost got a knuckle sandwich. That's what he got.
All right.
So Josh, what have you been up to, pal?
In life?
In life, don't talk about football. I know you mentioned something about the Vikings.
Football's over. The thing is closed. It's finished. The Super Bowl happened. It was very disappointing. But yeah, I don't even know. The last 2 weeks have been a blur. I worked yesterday, and I couldn't even tell you what my life has been beyond that.
Well, we're almost well into what I am going to steal from the NBA or NCAA as March Madness for video games.
March Madness.
So this is a crazy month for games. We've already gotten going. Greg, actually, what have you been up to before we get knee deep
in life?
In some dirty games.
Like you want to know like my life?
Okay, I'm gonna just try. Let's see what Greg has been doing. Worked. Not much.
Yeah.
Went to 8.
Yeah. I have nothing left to say now.
No, you got a sweet exercise bike.
Oh, that's right. I got an exercise bike. I have this little slogan. It's called 16K every day.
Oh man, put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. For some reason, the exercise bike I got only registers kilometers. So I had to, figure out the
conversion,
which is it's like 1.3. Like every 2K is like 1.2 miles, 1.3 miles.
Wow. You're fancy.
So, I try to do 16K a night. It's good. I started counting calories, which is a new
that's fun.
New thing. So, like I'm about to eat a bunch of pizza. I'm going to try to figure out how much calorie, and I'll burn it. I'll try to get rid of it all tonight on this bike. And it's not healthy, as I was talking to John last night, because what I do is I consume the calories I consume. I pretty much burn them all off, so I have no energy. So I have a hard time waking up in the morning now.
Well, what I was saying was like you don't try to consume below 1,000 calories. Like 2,000 is for an average.
Yeah, I'm way under 2,000. I'm like I eat one meal a day pretty much, and then in between I'll have like a couple of little snacks sometimes.
Yeah, gotta count those though.
No, I count everything, but I'm way under 1,000 calories.
Well, hey, I'm proud you're on the bike because last time we talked about this on the podcast, it was a coat hanger.
It was a coat hanger. I set it up. I had a bad day, and I'm like, I'm setting this thing up.
But it was
funny.
How
long was it a coat hanger? How long did it fill that job?
Well, it's funny because it was only a coat. We say coat hanger, and you think, oh, bikes are hanging on this bike. Coats are hanging on this bike, but it was actually just in the box.
Yeah, coats are just over the box.
It was more of a coat area.
Yeah.
Do you think? And so I have 2 questions to follow up that. Do you think that you are going to flirt with this and then get disinterested after a while?
Of
or
course.
Are you ready to commit?
No, absolutely. You nailed it. The first thing. This is like the story of my life. I'll get really into something, and after about a month of being into it, I'll just slowly go back into my old habits of ordering seamless Chinese food 3 times a day and sleeping and get fat again.
But what happens there is because your brain tries to play the logic card. It's like, am I really getting anywhere with this? Like nobody's complimented me.
Yeah, who really cares?
Because Greg grew his beard back, and I think that's more of a positive step for him, right?
It makes me feel really good.
So yesterday we had Table Game Day 3, which was really great.
Thanks, we had a huge turnout yesterday.
We had 10 people yesterday,
10? Yeah.
which is like almost too many.
Because we couldn't play some games.
There's a lot of games we couldn't play, and actually Greg stopped and picked up some wine, and he made a friend at the wine shop, right?
And it's funny because when I went in there for Table Game Day 2, I was dressed kind of just like, a flannel shirt and jeans, and he was kind of like, "What are you doing in here? Do you need help? Like, what's up?" Like this guy doesn't know anything about wine.
Giving you the eye.
Yeah, yesterday I went in there, full beautiful beard. I was wearing a blazer and a nice.
You look good, Greg.
I look like an American hero or like a barbershop quartet singer.
More like, once you got the hat when you got to my house, because I have one of those barber hats.
But I walked in there and he was just like, "Sir, you look fantastic. I would love to recommend some wine to you." And he started going on about the years and the one he made me buy was just like, "This one, pound for pound, the best grapes in Italy." The New Yorker rated it 3 stars. Just like totally, just like.
Did you string him along too? We're like, no.
Of course,
put that one back.
I was picking up. I don't know that much about wine. I was picking up wine. I was looking at it. I was like pretending to read the back of it. Like, very nice. I put it down. And do you have this one chilled? I'd say things like that.
You're looking for the calorie label.
Yeah,
on the back of the wine.
No, but yeah, I feel like I get more respect with the full beard, and also when I wear a blazer, people give me more respect. I'm like a bank teller or something.
Yeah.
Well, this guy can afford a blazer. Clearly, he's going places.
You're onto something. Which is funny.
I think it's true though. I think it's real.
Yeah, but it's funny because Greg and I in high school used to go to the thrift store and buy blazers.
Yeah, but back then it was more like we didn't get respect for the blazers. It was more of like a fashion thing. Now it's kind of like it's not really about fashion. It's more about respect. Now.
Yeah, that's why they probably fit a little better now. Than
It looks a little bit more. Right. I'm not like this little kid trying to look like Maroon 5 or something.
I would hate myself if I found myself and I went, "Hey, why are you wearing that blazer, kid?"
Yeah,
as a kid.
Just put on a t-shirt.
What are you doing, man? Enjoy your life.
Stop trying to look cool.
Don't be uptight now.
Put on a fucking t-shirt that says that you like playing Mario and go and
I do that now. Look at my shirt right now.
I was wearing a Nintendo shirt. So
oh, thanks for filling in for the people at home, Greg, who can't see. That's a Nintendo shirt.
Yeah, it says classically trained and has an NES controller on it.
Yeah, my dad got this for me because he probably still thinks I'm a child in his eyes and can't accomplish anything great.
The shirt says, "I have a girlfriend. I have nothing to worry about anymore."
Pretty much. I think you can get away with this, Greg. If you wore one of these shirts, you could probably pull a little tail,
Yeah, probably get a little tail.
Nice one, bro. High five. So I've been up to stuff. Somebody asked me what I've been doing.
John, what have you been doing?
I don't really feel like.
Just tell us.
Yeah? Okay, so the first weekend after we did the last podcast, I was going to, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I was going to a show in Brooklyn called Then She Fell. Did I mention that, Josh?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so
I know you were going to this, but I think I knew it by Facebook.
So I talked about Sleep No More here, I believe, right? Briefly.
Yes, you told us about Sleep No More. Yeah.
Okay, so this kind of incited Kate to go find more shows like this, and she heard from a friend that there's another one. Sleep No More is obviously based off of Hamlet.
Hamlet?
Right? I think Hamlet.
Okay.
Right?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I can tell you.
No, what's the other one?
Well, Shakespeare had a lot of plays.
No, but one of the famous
ones in the other one.
Not one of the famous ones with the guy's name.
Is it where he kills everyone? Everyone dies.
Macbeth. Okay, so that one's based on Macbeth. Now this one is a different company, much smaller, much lower budget. They do an Alice in Wonderland themed one, and we showed up at this place, and each show only has 15 members in the audience. So it's a very, very intimate show, whereas Sleep No More, you're running around kind of this old mansion thing, trying to figure stuff out and kind of be on your own and see things on your own. In this one, you're one-on-one with actors all the time. It was like, okay, so I'll just take you through the motions. We're we're all in this room. Basically, it's the lobby of an insane asylum. So there's 15 of us there. They give us a handful of keys, right? Every person gets keys, and there's locks you can open to look, to search, and to look up clues and things like that. So this woman comes out, really stoic woman. Her face pinched, her hair pulled back, and she starts giving us this speech, like this really existential, awesome piece of poetry or whatever it was. And as that's happening, workers from the asylum are coming and grabbing people and taking them with them into other rooms. Now, one by one, everyone was taken. The last two people were me and Kate. So this stoic woman, grabs me and takes me out of the room, and she leads me upstairs. Kate goes her other direction, and I end up like one-on-one with this girl in what happens to be the tea party room. Alice in Wonderland, the tea party. And she does this crazy dance, and she has like a drink with me, and she's doing all this shit, and there's like a lot of eye contact, which is really uncomfortable, But anyway, she plays like this game with me where, like a 3-card Monty style, where there's a ball in a cup. Right. But under there is a key, and there's a box, and she's like really acting all witty with me and stuff. So anyway, you like solve the riddle in there, and then you get pulled to another room by another person. They're like, follow me, and you go into another room, and next thing you know, it's Alice. Like, I had to comb her hair, and she'd talk to me about love and just like asking me all these questions. And then there's like the Mad Hatter, who said this another awesome piece of poetry, talking about what the hell was it? Not all matters are had, but all hatters are mad, or something like that. Really cool. He's like doing this thing in this small room, and everything is dressed up really nice to look like an asylum. You're looking through drawers. There's paperwork. What the story really is I forgot their name, but the author of Alice in Wonderland, the actual Alice that the story is based off of, it's about how he loved this little girl and couldn't be with her.
Did she like kill her mother or something like that? And she had to like live in this world where she was just like tormented because like she felt responsible for her mother's death. Something twisted like that.
There's clues it's been a couple weeks now, so I really don't remember much. But like the Red Queen is there, and she was just the best, and that's supposed to be her mother because her mother didn't want her to see this guy. But the Red Queen, she one of my favorite ones of the night. It was weird. They were all weird, but not the Mad Hatter. The guy who plays the White Rabbit. He was walking up the stairs, and one person's leading me down the stairs, and I'm by myself like this whole time, right? So he's leading me down. He's leading me down the stairs. Oh no, sorry. Someone's leading me down the stairs. He's walking up, rebuttoning his coat, and he grabs me and he looks at me and he's like, "Hold yourself together down there." I'm like, "Oh fuck, where are we going?" So they bring me all the way downstairs. And waiting in the room is the Red Queen in her room, like this big red room with roses. The Red Queen and one of the Alices. There's two Alices for whatever reason. And they're both waiting there. And they're like, it's the closest to a threesome I've ever been. Whoa. Right? So they are like doing this thing with each other where I'm holding a mirror while the Red Queen is putting up her hair, and like I start to slouch a little bit just naturally, and she like looks at me and sneers at me, so I fix the mirror real quick, and like this other Alice, she's pulling her back and forth, and I'm getting really specific here, but the vibe of the night was just basically, this is the fucking coolest thing I've ever been involved in. Better than Sleep No More. I enjoyed it better than Sleep No More. I don't know what else I can say. There's so much. There's probably about 15 different situations I was in. There was a whole thing. We did a tea party with some other people, and they actually feed you food and you drink, and everything's alcoholic. I don't know.
What kind of food?
There was like a little bruschetta.
Okay. Interesting.
Everything's vegan because just in case people are vegan, that covers all.
That's bullshit.
It covers all bases.
That's pretty shitty.
I wouldn't want them giving. You want them giving?
I want
a
meat? Slab of meat.
You want them giving you meat?
A nice slab of meat.
You would get a slab of meat at a tea party. You're not going to get a steak at a tea party.
Hey, who the fuck put the stand? Why not? Why can't I get a steak at a tea party?
Have you never been to a tea party before?
No. Have you?
No, I haven't. But I can't imagine a steak being there.
There's this one moment where I was looking into a mirror, but it wasn't a mirror. On the other side was like another one of the guests. And on her side was one of the Alices, and on my side was another one of the Alices. And one of the Alices was looking into the mirror, and there's this one moment where they the Alice that's sitting in front of me turns around and looks at me, and then the other one's looking at me, and they're keeping like deep eye contact. And now for me, like, I want to be like, I want to give him a smile, like, yeah, I get it, haha. But like, I feel like such a douche because you don't know how to act in those situations because they're such good actors and actresses. You're like, they're staring into my soul.
Right. Yeah.
What would you do in that situation?
Like give her a kiss.
Yeah, blow.
Yeah.
Give her one of those.
A little kiss.
So when the Alice under the stairs, which is when I brushed her hair, she had me pick out my favorite doll. So obviously I picked out the small, cool looking doll. She gave me like this piece of paper.
Had her number on it. Had her number on it.
It had her number on it. No, it actually had, later on, there's this document that needed to be pieced together, and I had the missing piece. Ooh. And not everyone has that. And not everyone gets the same experience in this place. I'm being really scatterbrained about this, but basically, the website sucks. I wish it didn't suck. But this thing is like, I mean, it's like Sleep No More, so I have experienced it a little bit, but I like this a lot better because it made me uncomfortable. And I liked that because that takes a lot. I'm sorry, Greg. Am I boring?
No, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean.
No, dude.
Sometimes you just have to yawn. It has nothing to do with the
context.
conversation.
Right. So then she fell. It's called "Please Go Do It." Please go do it. Everybody go do this.
Okay.
All right, Greg. I think the tickets are like $115.
Not going.
For about 2 hours.
Not happening.
I've spent way more.
$115.
But why is that a lot?
It seems like a lot to me.
It's a lot.
Oh, well, think about a Broadway show.
Think about the economy.
Think about it. One time Greg said we should start a band called The Economy because everyone is talking about it. You said that once. You remember?
I did. I remember. That's
you were
really
like, we should call our band The Economy. Or was that Dan? Or was it you?
I think it was me. I remember being in your car. This is a long time ago.
It was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, dude. We're in your blue, what car was that?
The Eclipse.
The Eclipse.
He was like, we should make a band called The Economy. I don't remember if it was you or Dan, but anyway, it's funny. So either one of you. But think about going to a regular Broadway show, and those tickets are sometimes like $200 for like a very non-intimate, pretty predictable experience, and then doing something like this, which was it was mind-blowing. Like, it blew my mind. You have to go in there with a clean, like, no judgment, and it's great. So do that. I also went on a cruise. But I feel like I'm done talking. I don't want to talk anymore about my life. 'Cause I feel a little...
Well, then let's talk about video games.
Wait. Let me interject something here because you were talking about then she fell, and then that reminded me of something I wanted to talk about, and then you can talk about your cruise.
Great.
Okay.
I know, Greg. We'll never get to video games at this rate.
That's fine.
Because you were talking about like interactive theater and stuff like that. Me, Tyler, and Ashley went and did this thing called Room Escape, which is trapped in a room with a zombie,
Ooh.
and basically it's no matter what your party is, like just me, Tyler, and Ashley signed up, but we were part of a group of 12, and you go into a room, and they try to make it a little bit theatrical. You have your what they call the omnipotent, which is basically your supervisor through the whole thing, the employee who
they guide you,
checks you in and everything. Right. And they try to do like a little monologue about like, oh, the guy created a zombie and he left clues for the people trapped inside to escape. And it really wasn't doing it for me at that point. I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if this is really going to be any good. And then we go inside, they open up this door, and you and the 12 people go into this room and they shut it. And you have an hour to find all the clues in the room, put the clues together, and escape. And then the twist is that there's a zombie that bursts out of a closet, and it is chained inside the closet. And every 5 minutes, they release a little bit more of the chain, another foot of the chain. And so basically, like, slowly and slowly, you can move more and more around the room until basically everyone is trapped into a corner. And then when the time runs out, the zombie's going to kill you.
So what kind of place puts this on? Is it just some kind of, it's like a theatrical, kind of like what I did, like a theatrical thing? Or is this, is it some kind of...
It sounds a lot less or a lot lower production value than what you're talking about. Because literally, like, they're in the arts building, but it's basically like a converted office room. And so you kind of just walk in. We couldn't even we took this rickety elevator up and had no idea where it was. And luckily there was this person who came out and grabbed us and was like, hey, are you here for Trapped in a Room? And we're like, oh, yeah. And so you basically walk in through like a coat closet and then into the actual room. So it's super low production value, but that's the whole idea. It's also supposed to be more claustrophobic.
Right.
And so as soon as it starts, you go around the room and you kind of experiment with things. Like there's riddles you can try to solve. There's numbers. And like, it was really strange. Like people kind of just grab things and they're like, oh, there's a number on here. That must mean something. And people started compiling clues towards the center. And having 12 people is really good because it, gives you a lot of people to run around and like look at things and experiment with things. But it also creates more chaos. And so like
that's
people
what I
are
figured.
Bringing more things up to you like, oh, do you see this? There's a code here. And we're like, no, we figured that out like 15 minutes ago.
Right.
And like the 10 people who did it with us, at first I was super skeptical about them. Or I guess it was 9. Because like half of them were fucking blasted drunk when they showed up.
Oh no.
Like you could smell booze on them. I was like, oh my God, these people are just
Were they just like, let's just kill the zombie. Let's just kill him.
Yeah. No, they're just like the whole time they're like, when the woman's like, I'm the omnipotent, they're like, what does omnipotent mean? I don't know. And I was just like, oh, we're so fucked. But once we got in there, the best thing about these drunk people is that they made their entire job distracting the zombie. So once the zombie was around, like could sneak around and like look at things, they would like run to different corners of the room and like distract it, and it'd run over there and they'd escape and jump over something. And so basically they would occupy the zombie the entire time while everyone else was trying to figure out clues.
Sounds like it had to be done.
That actually ended up being a nice little give and take.
In a pretty big area, it sounds like. Was it pretty big?
It's a sizable room. They say a foot every 5 minutes. So what does that equal out to? Like 20 feet, basically. So the room was 20 feet long and maybe like 10 feet wide.
I don't know. Ask Greg. He does kilometer conversions.
Yeah. But yeah, and so it was exactly what I wanted it to be. It was like super like intense. Like you just, and they're like, they toy with the dynamics of it really well. Like you have to reach into cabinets that you can't see what you're reaching into.
Is there like brains?
You have to climb. Yeah, and you have to like climb or like go under a desk at one point and like be on your back and kind of slide around while the zombie is of course trying to grab you. It's actually fantastic. And the clues were like, some of it was a little bit difficult to find out because the other thing the omnipotent does is if you get stuck, if you don't know what to do, she'll kind of like walk around and kind of stare at something and help you figure out what to do next.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like, can people fail and all die and then that's it and they take your money?
We did. Like, we all died in the end. We were like, we had the combination to get out, to get the like lock, to get the key to get out of the room. And we had the combination. We just couldn't figure out what order it went in. And that was when our time ran out and we died.
I'm hoping this type of interactive theater becomes more of a prevalent thing, as well done as the ones that we spoke of are, because it's definitely the closest thing I've ever come to feeling like I'm inside an actual game. You know, like I don't know how great VR is going to be in the next couple of years, if it's going to have like haptic feedback for your body. But when you're dealing with these situations, I mean, games for me is just, I love problem solving. So yeah, this stuff for me is like completely just such a fantastic experience for all the senses. You know, I hope there are more of these things.
It's also like, it's the interactive nature that's really fantastic. And the thing that I really like about it is that it's an experience that I really can't get any other way. There's like nothing that really compares to this. I was actually really sad. I like sent out to a lot of my friends the like invite to go do this thing. I was like, hey guys, there's room for 12. So whoever wants to do this, let's do it. And like almost no one responded aside from Ashley and Tyler. Everyone was super, super like, I don't know. That seems really like uncomfortable. And I was like, are you kidding me? This is gonna be awesome. You just can't get that experience anywhere else.
It's a shame that people are dismissive, but you know what? The people that are dismissive, I'd rather have them not come, because you really have to have a open mind by the time the experience happens. And I'd rather have people come and open up or be open already than have people that are just like, this is silly. You know, it's good to have a good group.
Well, it was really cool. Like, you know, these guys who were super drunk and kind of like joking around. As soon as like we kind of walk in the room, the zombie throws open the doors and starts screaming at people, and everyone took it serious. Everyone's like, oh fuck, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
It was really well crafted.
That fight or flight.
But anyways, video games.
Well, yeah, I went on a cruise too, but we'll just briefly discuss that.
That's right.
I did a quick 3-night cruise, Bahamas, went to Atlantis, saw a bunch of awesome fish. Had a really good time on the ship. My feet got really sunburned. I couldn't walk for a full day. And now I'm peeling all over the place. But that was my cruise.
Very good.
It was good. That was TLDR, right? Pretty good and
perfect.
short. So in the world of video games, let's get into video juegos. I think we should start with Greg. You've been playing Tomb Raider, right?
Yeah, I didn't play it when it came out, the new Tomb Raider, but I
the first one, right, with Lara Croft on PlayStation 1.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, actually, we're gonna have to come back to me because our pizza has arrived.
Oh yeah, we ordered pizza.
I'll be right back.
Okay, you know what we'll start with then, Josh? I want to get back to Tomb Raider with Greg because it was a good experience for him. But Josh, you and I both played South Park: Stick of Truth.
Yes.
And we both finished it.
You remember how you poked me for a while to watch that South Park episode, the 3-episode arc that's basically the Game of Thrones parody?
Yeah, like the console wars type thing.
Yeah, and I watched it like maybe the week before playing that game.
And it helped, right?
It was fantastic. A, because they tie into each other, but B, also that 3-episode arc is amazing. It's so good.
Yeah, it was really damn. I remember I texted you as soon as it came on. I'm like, dude, you must put this on right now. You must put it on.
Yeah, you and another friend like basically were like, hey, you need to watch this. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I finally got around to it. And like I said, it ties into the video game, so anyone who plays the game should definitely watch it. But it's also like, it's hilarious. And it's the same vein of humor. Like, the same stuff that was hilarious in that 3-episode arc is very, very funny in Stick of Truth.
Yeah, they bring a lot of that stuff back. So what I have to say about the Stick of Truth is that, first of all, it's a much better game than I thought it was going to be.
Much better.
Playing
so
it. I mean,
better.
Let's keep the comedy aside for now because it's so great. I want to go over the gameplay first. Actually, let's go over the trials and tribulations this game had before it even came out.
Yeah.
Because we switched studios after THQ shut down, right?
The publishers, yeah. THQ was going to publish it. Obsidian was developing this from the get-go, and Obsidian's done Fallout New Vegas, Knights of the Old Republic 2. They're a studio that's like super well known for taking other people's ideas and carrying them on.
Right.
Like, basically, for a while, it was like BioWare got tired of doing something and Obsidian would get it. And then, Bethesda didn't want to do another Fallout, so Obsidian did it.
Right.
So it seemed like the perfect union to have this studio who's used to taking other people's ideas and executing them, work with someone like Matt Stone and Trey Parker, who had a lot of ideas probably about what they wanted the game to be, but no clue how to actually make the game.
There's a couple of guys that I'm surprised can't make a game by themselves because they're good at everything else.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's really funny because they have conquered so many different mediums. Like, they did, a South Park movie, which was amazing. The show's been running for a long time. They have other movies that are great, including Cannibal the Musical and
Basketball.
Team America. Basketball, yeah.
Well, and Orgasmo, but we don't have to talk about that. Thanks, Greg.
But they also did, they
pizza.
wrote that musical, The Book of Mormon, which was, a huge success. And so they've had a lot of success doing different things. So the fact that they really put their talents and focus towards the video game was very interesting. Is like, can they tackle this challenge?
And they tackle it with in spades. Sorry, I was chewing my pizza. Nom. So, the gameplay, after booting up is basically you're the new kid in town, the story here. And you're there to make friends, primarily, as per your parents. But you kind of have a secret. You have a deep, dark secret as the kid. And, Cartman befriends you. And, yeah, it really does help to watch that episode. It kind of sets up the kind of role-playing that the kids do when they're fighting each other. So between Cartman and Kyle and all the kids of South Park, there are all these factions warring kind of LARP D&D style. If you haven't seen the episodes, where, Kyle is the king of the elves and Cartman is the grand wizard kind of guy, right?
Yeah, the Wizard King. There's a phenomenal children at play element where these kids are fighting in their minds a very real war. I played wizards and knights and stuff like that when I was a kid, and you pick up a stick and you're like, this stick is a sword. And there's a ton of that in the aesthetic of this game where like someone's wearing a helmet and that helmet is a knight's helmet, but it's actually just a football helmet.
Right.
Or you have a bucket that you're wearing on your head, or football shoulder pads. And there's a lot smarter use of those things than I'm describing. I just can't think of them offhand, but they do it really well and really tactfully. It's really smart.
And the game plays like kind of like an open world exploration of South Park, which is really great because you finally get to see the layout of the town. But it plays like a turn-based RPG akin to something like Final Fantasy VII. But I think it's most closely related to Paper Mario or Super Mario RPG.
I've heard other people make that comparison with especially the rhythm-based turn-based combat, where like you basically have your combat wheel. You select the attack that you're going to do, and then that attack is going to have like a rhythm/quick time event section where you'll have to like, hit X at the right time or hit A at the right time or press the thumbstick in a direction. It's all right. Like, and it's not anything to write home about in terms of like creativity, but it is super well implemented. They do a great job of using it in fairly creative ways and having it actually work. Like, there's no point where you feel betrayed by the gameplay. It's never annoying. The only complaint that you could really find is maybe it gets a little dull after a while. But I never felt that. I always felt like it was pretty fun.
So throughout the game, you earn companions to fight with you, a la Cartman, Jimmy the Bard, Kyle, Stan, like all those, Kenny, Brain Station Kenny, to play as kind of your two-person fighting team, right? So you're never in like a party with 4 or 5 people. It's usually just you, the new kid, and your companion. And there's enough of a variety of abilities and summons and special abilities for your companions that keep it like really entertaining, really, really entertaining.
Did you end up working in a good rotation? I basically stuck with Butters. I rolled with Jimmy for a little bit, and it was mostly Butters and Jimmy. I dicked around with everyone else. Like, I played with Kyle and Stan for a bit. I almost never used Cartman. Oh, and I used Kenny for a little while.
Okay,
so mostly Butters.
So the game offers you 4 different classes, distinct classes. Warrior, is it warrior? I don't remember. Barbarian or warrior? Fighter,
thief, mage, and Jew.
Which is the odd class, obviously.
What is the Jew class?
I didn't play it. I played thief. What did you play, Josh?
I didn't play it either, but the first thing you start off with is wearing, I won't even say it because I don't think I'll say it right, and it'll just be even more offensive than it is
Well, now
already.
you have to. Yarmulke?
Yarmulke, and then you wear like the little robe with the Star of David on either end of it.
What's that? Oh, I don't want to get in one of these things.
You're dressed in traditional like rabbi garb, basically, to start. And I think a menorah is your weapon.
Let me just interject here. Do you know how many people messaged me and were like, "It's a dispensary, you moron," last time when we were trying to think up the marijuana places, remember?
Didn't we call it dispensary?
We did eventually, but I think as my friends and other people were listening, they messaged me before we got to it. So I got a million messages, texts and stuff, just nothing else but dispensary. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because eventually we say it. But I didn't want to just get into a war like, what's it called?
Oh, you're going to get a ton of messages about
what they wear. What's that?
It's going to be interesting to see if as many people know about marijuana as they do about Judaism.
Yeah, let's see. We're testing you, audience. So the gameplay is there. It's solid. I don't think I found any hiccups throughout. Like you said, maybe it gets a little dull from time to time, just the combat. But within the world and the exploration of the world, like you gain abilities sort of similar to Metroid or Castlevania or something, where more things become available as you gain these powers. So there's a lot of exploration that keeps on. You see something you can't reach, you come back later to reach it with a certain power. And South Park, it looks like you're watching the show. I played it on Xbox 360, and there are some technical hiccups sometimes, but not enough to like drive you away. It looks like South Park.
I had the same experience playing on the PC. Actually, Tyler, my roommate, walked in and like was watching me play for a bit, and he's like, "What episode is this?" And I was like, "This isn't the episode. This is the game." And he's
That's
like,
perfect.
"Oh wow, holy shit!"
That's perfect. Yeah,
it was really impressive. There's also the special abilities that you can get in combat, where basically you'll go into a quick time sequence, but there's elaborate animations for all of them. That is fantastic. Like Kenny can summon a unicorn of death, and it like plays music, like, and the unicorn comes charging in, and you do a quick time sequence, and the unicorn runs over the enemies. And all those sequences are pretty lengthy. They're probably about 10 to 15 seconds.
Yeah, they remind me of summons from Final Fantasy, Fantasy, but mostly 7, where it's like you do something and it plays out this whole thing. But it's not like Final Fantasy 7 Knights of the Round where you're like sitting there like, come on, get it over with. It's South Park, so every time it's funny. It's not a question.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the most impressive thing about this game is that there's a lot of jokes in the gameplay that are repeated. But even when they're repeated, they're still super endearing and funny. And that's really impressive that they're able to draw that perfect line between creating something that is memorable and unique for every action, but it's still going to be repeated and never gets old.
I think the detail is in the variety, like you said, in this game, where if you return to certain areas with different people, or if you interact with people different ways, aside from maybe repetitive AI dialogue, there's a lot that can be done with variables. So instead of the game being like 60 hours long, like a traditional Obsidian RPG, what they do is they drilled it down to make it really deep in terms of comedy. Like what's available that stays canon to the South Park universe that'll impress you. Like, oh wow, I can't believe they did it. Like you go through an area and there's like, items that are just made to sell, basically your junk items, right? But each of them pretty much has most of the time a unique name that has to do with an episode. I mean, South Park is how many years old now? 13?
17. They just finished the 17th season.
17 years old, and there's almost nothing that they don't allude to.
Yeah, there's so many jokes, from the underwear gnomes to the man bear pig. I mean, it's impressive how much canon they pay homage to in that game, with just whether it's just like an item you find or it actually gets its own individual storyline. It's amazing, and it's all so funny. The Canada section where you go to Canada is amazing. It's so good.
The Canada section is in Canada. You know how they play Canada on the show? Obviously, like they're simpler people. Their mouths move up and down. They flap.
Yeah.
The world there is an 8-bit an 8-bit world, and you go there and there's like bears and snakes, dire bears, dire snakes. All the audio is like 8-bit.
Yeah, it's doing a chiptune version of "Oh Canada" the entire time.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we'll shift over to the comedy. We all know how hard comedy is to do in games. It's really hard to pull off. But obviously, with South Park backing it, there's no question that this is probably going to be one of the funniest games I've ever played. So, a lot of the game is based around abortion, farts, zombie humor shit like from the show. But what I found to be so endearing about the show is not only does it take the traditional South Park comedy from the show, it knocks on D&D, it knocks on nerds, it knocks on video games. It with the audio log thing. How funny was that?
Yeah, the audio log was good.
So not only do Matt and Trey effectively follow through with just being South Park, they make, I guess, with their experience in the entertainment industry after so many years, they know how to effectively make fun of everybody all at once. And I think that's what's so creative about these guys is, and the ability to make Broadway shows and to make games is just, it never takes itself seriously, and they always make fun of everyone. So you can't really hate South Park.
What blew me away by this game was so often like, video comedy and video games, like take Portal 2 for instance. Like Portal 2 is really, really funny, but all of the humor in Portal 2 is specifically related to to pre-rendered stuff. It's monologues that are being delivered to you. You as the player are not doing anything funny. The game is funny and you're just in it, moving around. And that's what impressed me about South Park is there's so many things that are only funny because you do them. Like the audio logs, you need to go find the audio logs to get those jokes. There's one section where when Jimmy's stuttering, you get to control how long that joke goes on, because it will literally after he stutters the first 5 times, it'll be like press B to skip, and you can choose how long you want that to go, or if you just want to skip past it.
Right.
Like, the humor there's so much stuff that is only funny if you interact with it, or the combat. Like, so much stuff in the combat is hilarious, but you need to select those. Like, you need to select the fights. You need to complete the quick time sequences or the rhythm based prompts in order to move the comedy along. And the fact that it hinges so much on, interactive gameplay for those jokes is fantastic.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's been thrown around that this is the definitive South Park game, but it obviously is, because it allows you to play with South Park. Like, you've never really been able to just play with South Park, do what you want in South Park. I mean, that's a term that's probably overused, is do what you want in games, but you're really given a lot of opportunity to kind of use South Park as sort of like a puppet, kind of make it your own thing. And it's really cool, especially growing up. I mean, all three of us have grown up with South Park. We all had the t-shirts. We all did the South Park thing. And
said the quotes to our friends.
Of course. You killed Kenny was like the funniest thing to us when we were 12, 13, whatever it was. But now we finally get to play with it. And just to see them making callbacks to things that happened the first season, there's something really great about it. So
yeah, I mean, as controlling as Parker and Stone are with that franchise, they do an amazing job of creating. They give this product and they say, you make what you want out of it, and that starts from the beginning where you create your character. And throughout the game, you get tons of different armor and loot and ways to customize your character, almost in Saints Row fashion, to whatever ridiculous extremes you want. And that the ability for them to just give you so many tools to do what you want in that world and have it all be funny is amazing. It was an amazing experience.
Yeah, you could finish the game looking like David Hasselhoff. It's great. Huh. So, yeah, South Park, play it. If you're a South Park fan, play it. If you're an RPG fan, give it a shot. But this definitely is, once again, another cliche, but it's definitely a love letter to South Park fans everywhere. So, Greg, you're back.
Yes.
Tomb Raider, the definitive edition. You got it for Xbox One.
Yes.
And?
It's great. I didn't play the 360 version of it. Did both of you guys play that?
Yeah, I played on 360.
I did.
So I didn't play that. So I don't know what to compare it to as far as the looks. 'Cause I know they did everything for the Xbox One, but it looks so good. It looks better. I think it looks better than Assassin's Creed does, honestly. And to me, it plays better too. It really reminds me of like Resident Evil 4, like that kind of game. I don't know. I got through it. I enjoyed it. I got through it kind of quick, but I thought it was a lot of fun. I'm going back and just grabbing collectibles now because the way the game's set up, you can go back to your save points and just sort of grab the stuff that you missed, which I like, so I don't have to worry about missing stuff in that game. But yeah, it was good. I definitely recommend it, and you can just download it so you don't have to pop the disc in.
One of the big deals when
yeah, I downloaded it.
One of the big deals when they did that game on PC was NVIDIA did a special thing with her hair, so her hair would there were hair physics or something like that. Did that translate into the definitive edition?
I guess I really didn't. Honestly, I didn't focus particularly on anything because if I would have known that, I would have looked into it. But the game looked like it was, for me right now, one of the better looking games on the Xbox One. I thought it looked better than like I said, Assassin's Creed, and Assassin's Creed was made for the consoles.
It looked great on Xbox 360 for an end of a generation game.
Yeah.
It looked really good, and I'm curious. I actually haven't even seen it. I haven't been, seeking out info on it because I knew I wasn't going to play it again.
That game's also it handles really, really well. Like the knocks on it are that are usually story based. But actually playing that game, doing whether you're doing the traversal and the platforming, or whether you're doing the shooting or the stealth, all that is fantastic. It all feels so good.
Yeah, it was. I thought I wasn't gonna like this at first because there was in the very beginning. There's a lot of those the sort of quick time sequences where you got to click buttons, and I thought I wasn't gonna like that. But as it gets towards the end of the game and you're doing them a lot, they make them really exciting and really crazy, and gets your adrenaline going sometimes, especially the ones where you're running from something and you have to kind of move and jump and then jump onto something and hit the button as you grab it, and then you're climbing up the mountain, and then it's just it's all this crazy things happening at once, and it makes you feel like you're just amazing when you do it all right.
It was just like a solid overall game. Like Josh said earlier, like, did you enjoy the mechanics of it? It felt tight, right?
Oh
like,
yeah, it was great.
Like the bow and
I
stuff
loved
like that.
using the bow. Headshots with the bow are so much like it's so satisfying.
Well, and it's very similar to Uncharted in its, basically in the combination of its third-person shooting and its, traversal. But the thing about it, the difference between it is that it's so much more grittier than Uncharted, specifically in like Lara's death scenes.
Yeah. Oh god, they're gruesome.
And that's like part of it, right? Is that some of that intensity that you get from those quick time sequences, you're like, if I fail this, I'm gonna have to look at something that's just fucking awful.
Yeah.
Did you mess up when you had to get forced down the river?
You know what? I was waiting for that to happen the whole game because I watched that on Conan.
Oh yeah, I remember that. You did it over and over and over again.
Yeah, and I was waiting for it to happen. I was like, I got to the point, and I knew that this was it. When I was going down the river, it's like right after like there's like that crashed plane. I was like, this is it. I'm gonna try to make it not happen because I got to the point like Josh was just saying where I never want to die because it is so like filthy, disgusting, like.
Right.
Gritty death.
You're like in a muddy river and you get sliced.
And just like the noise she makes, and it's always just like she's like hanging from something or
gurgling.
Just like stomped on something or just like bones getting crushed. I never want to die because of that, but I wasn't quick enough and I did die. Going down that river.
So she got what's that called? Is it when you get
impaled by a stick?
It's called something. It's like God.
I don't know.
Anyway, there's another thing when you get something like that. Anyway, and she's like flailing her arms around everywhere.
It goes like right through her neck, out the back of her neck, and she's just holding her arms out, just like.
So
yeah.
Now something like this in a game. I remember when this first happened. Like people first started seeing this. Do you think that something like this, as gory as it is enough of a punishment for death, or do you think it's just like servicing sadistic people?
I think there's a little bit of both because, like I just said, going through the game, like I remember one of the first deaths I had, I got crushed by something, like a rock, I think it was. It was like early in the game, and it literally like crushed me, and I saw like my limbs out the side of it, and it was just like it was just terrible to look at. And ever since that happened, like I just never wanted to die. Like I never like especially during those quick time sequences because they set it up on purpose that the things that are going to kill you during those sequences. Right. Are going to be gruesome. Like I remember there's one where you're in like this airplane and you're kicking the window or the window breaks. And
that's such a great part.
And you grab the parachute and you're flying down. If you hit those trees too many times, I think like three times, right through like a branch goes right through your body and you're just like impaled on this tree. I think it happened to me 3 or 4 times because I kept hitting those fucking trees.
Yeah, I think obviously after 2 or 3 times you're like, oh, enough already. Like you're looking away at some point. But I think that's good that it's punishable by something as close to death as it can represent as a game, rather than either being sadistic fan service or not doing any, like, maybe it can take away some money or something like that. But I'm in favor of kind of like this.
Oh, I like it. Yeah. I think it's cool. I don't think that's ever happened to me in a game where I'm like, I can't die because I don't want to see the death.
Right, exactly. Usually we're like, let's just like Borderlands, like jump in the trash compactor. Let's see what happens. But that's good. Fun game. Greg, we also picked up Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare.
Yeah, that's fun. I'll say this: John is he's good at it, but more or less he's like level 40, and I'm only level 7, and I haven't played as much as he has, but I've played a lot. My problem is I found 2 guys that I like, one zombie and one plant, and the only way to really level up in this game is to to play with all the characters.
Right.
And so far that's all I've just played with these 2 characters. I won't even try anyone else out. I'm just stuck with these 2, the All-Star and the Cactus.
So there's a couple of different modes that they offer. There's kind of the wave-based survival game where you can only play as the plants, and they offer 4 different classes. Then there's Gardens and Graveyards, which is similar to Battlefield's Rush mode.
Yeah.
And then they have just a Team Vanquish, which I guess they can't say kill in Plants vs. Zombies, so it's team deathmatch, basically.
Yeah.
So on each side, there's 4 different classes. On the plant side, you got, excuse me, jeez, this pizza has like choke stuff in it.
Yeah, there's choke stuff in this pizza. I got it. It's cheese pizza with choke on top.
Thank you. Pea shooter, which is kind of like your standard class. Then they have the flower.
Yeah.
The sunflower. If you guys are familiar with Plants vs. Zombies,
class.
you know all these things already. Yeah, it's the healing class, and then there's the cactus, which is the sniper class, and the last one is the chomper, which is your melee class.
Bastard class.
Yeah, I hate that class so much. It can go underground and just eat you.
It's the worst when he's coming at you underground.
Yeah, and then for the zombies, you have your standard. I don't remember their names.
It's like a grunt soldier guy. I don't remember what he's called.
Like your infantry guy.
Infantry, yeah.
Then you have the all-star, which is your heavy. Then you have the scientist, which is your healer for that side, and the engineer, which, builds turrets, builds transporters and stuff like that. So what Greg is saying is, well, the way the level up system works as well, it's not just like you gain progress. You can have 3 challenges at a time, and in order to progress, you need to complete those challenges. So, Greg, what you're saying is you're playing
I'm playing only 2 characters, and I'm also at the challenge that says revive 3 people, which you could do in one match if you really tried to do it. But I have no interest in reviving anybody ever, so I just let it. It just sits on the side of my screen. I don't revive anybody.
So no teamwork at all. You shouldn't play the team-based stuff.
Well,
I think it's only team-based.
If I play with my friends, I'll do that kind of stuff. But really, I do just.
You'd
play for
revive
myself.
me, Greg?
I don't know.
Yeah, you'd have to think of it. It depends what your situation is.
Yeah, it really does depend. On,
I wouldn't expect you to if you're surrounded by a bunch of plants.
Yeah, or zombies.
There's another. The main mode is Garden Ops, which is the wave-based survival game, which is.
We haven't done that yet.
We haven't done it together. I've done it a bit with some strangers online, which is pretty rough.
Yeah.
I've beaten it on hard. I'd want to beat it. There's another mode called Crazy, which is very difficult, and it reminds me of us playing
Gears.
No, Extinction.
Oh, Extinction. Oh, that's
in Call of Duty, where you need everybody communicating, and without that, you're definitely going to fail.
Yeah.
But it's got all the quirks that Plants vs. Zombies had, with a lot less of the microtransactions and bullshit that a lot of people are unhappy about. So
the sticker pack stuff is cool.
Yeah,
the card stuff, whatever it is.
Yeah, you earn coins to buy sticker packs, which unlock new characters, plants to use in the mode, zombies to use in Gardens and Graveyards mode. For such a simple game on the outside, it can get pretty technical in terms of, like kind of like the rock, paper, scissors match, like what beats what in a match. Each class has their own set of skills mapped to like 3 easy to use buttons. It's not like the simplicity allows for people to get technical with it. So it branches to have a bigger audience than maybe the visual style would suggest. And it also runs at 60 frames a second with a really nice aesthetic. It's so shiny and pretty and colorful. It's really nice to play a shooter that doesn't have guns and is not brownish, orangish.
It's different. It's not like it's fun. It's not like you don't really get in there. I never really get too upset over the game ever or like a loss. And it's different playing a shooter game where there's no there's no guns and shit. It's just kind of like I look at the game as a quickie. It's like an in-between game.
Right.
I'm playing other games. I never really get too into it, but it's fun to have. It's good to have.
You get a little frustrated sometimes when that chomper eats you.
Yeah. I hate that.
It was only $40 too, which was awesome, right? It was 40.
Yeah, $39.99.
$39.99 at your local retailer. But I remember seeing that at E3 and looking forward to it. So that's probably why I'm logging some hours into it, because it's different. And it's also preparing me for Tuesday when I think we're all gonna jump into Titanfall.
Nah.
Josh, what are you getting Titanfall for?
Dumb baby game. I'm not getting that.
Oh yeah. But definitely pick up Plants vs. Zombies.
I'm just kidding. I'm gonna pick it up I'm gonna get it for Xbox One because I want to play something on my Xbox.
Yeah. You know what, Josh? We have it's been a year. We have yet to play a game with each other.
I know.
We have played 0 games with Josh.
As we've said before on this podcast, I don't play a lot of multiplayer. So
yeah, but
Titanfall
co-op
will be the time. It will be perfect.
I'm jealous of Tyler and your other roommate because they get to play games with you.
Yeah,
it's bullshit, dude.
Shucks. Well, we'll play Titanfall.
Yeah.
I'm so fucking jacked about Titanfall, and I'm totally down to that is the kind of game where I'm going to have a headset. I'm ready to chat with you guys while we sit here and play this. I'm gonna get uber competitive and scream. During the beta, I was just freaking out in my room, screaming.
All of us were.
We were playing nonstop beta. We were just
Yeah, it's one of the few games where like I hit max level and
like
I still give a shit.
We did it like in the first day. The first night we were all level 14.
Me too. Yeah. I like instantly like I maxed out at 14, and I didn't get in until Sunday when they opened it up to everyone. But I like maxed out on Sunday like instantly, and I had planned. I'm like, oh, I'll do this for like 4 hours or something. And like 12 hours later, I was sitting there like, oh man, this game's so good.
It ruined a week of my life because I was supposed to get stuff done that week. I had like all these projects I had to do, and literally the game. John's like, oh, the beta's out, dude. Download it. I downloaded it, and that was it. I was like a zombie in front of my TV.
It's not even the full game.
That's on Tuesday. That's on Tuesday. I have Tuesday off. Do you guys have Tuesday off?
I do.
Well, Greg has like a week off, and I hate him for it. Because I'm very jealous. I might get sick Tuesday. I don't know. I have the collector's edition coming. So I might need to find some space in my apartment because apparently the box is like 10 by 10.
What's in it? Like a Titan? You get
your own Titan? You get like a 15-inch tall Titan. Like this big. And it has lights on it and stuff. I don't know. Whatever, man.
I had a moment of weakness where I thought about getting it for the PC because like Amazon doesn't come to my house until 6 p.m. I took Tuesday off to play this game. Amazon won't come to my house until like 6 p.m. The GameStop won't open till 11 in the morning, and I want to play. Like that's the type of game that I want to download it at midnight and just start playing.
Right, play until 6 a.m.
I don't know when the Xbox Live store is going to update. So I was tempted to get it for PC just because I could pre-download it and just go at midnight. But
yeah, I'd be a little wary about getting Titanfall on Xbox as a download. Even the folks that are getting their, because the bundles, obviously, the Titanfall bundle, one of our buddies got it. Those mirrors better be strong because they're going to be taking some hits, serious hits. I was going to get into Thief, Josh, but you know what? We're not even going to touch Thief. Josh wrote a review on it on the site. Not a great game, so let's just jump into Titanfall.
Yeah, spoilers. It's not good.
So, AwayCast.com, look it up. It should still be on the front. We only have 2 reviews up right now, so... Yeah, so Titanfall also announced a season pass that they're going to have for $24.99. It's going to include 3 map packs, which is cool. They also confirmed some free DLC as well, free updates. They're trying to sound charitable, like a lot of companies do nowadays. But yeah, Tuesday's a big one, guys. We also have Dark Souls 2 coming out Tuesday. Unfortunately, it's going to be overshadowed by Titanfall for quite some time.
As a bad release day.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Dark Souls is kind of a niche audience anyway. Yeah. And it's also coming out on 360 and PS3.
You think that they probably get a much stronger opening day if they would have waited 2 weeks? Because even the people who are buying Titanfall are still looking for more Xbox One games in general, Right,
but there's no it's 360 for Dark Souls.
Oh, it's not Xbox One?
No, It's only previous gen. So I think the people who want Dark Souls, who know that they're eventually going to play it, are going to buy it anyway, Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It probably does affect it a bit. You're probably right.
I think it's just a word of mouth problem, right? That like right now the media is so dominated with hype for Titanfall. But then again, you move it 2 weeks and everyone's going to be talking about Infamous Second Son. No one's going to be talking about it anyway. So
right. But yeah, I'm hoping Amazon gets to me at a decent time. UPS. Maybe I'll head home for lunch and open up my Titan and stand in the mirror.
You just ride it back to work.
Yeah, I should. I'll put a seatbelt on it and take it to work with me. Hey guys, look what I did. Don't you respect me like an adult? I have a doll of a robot.
Yep.
Any other Titanfall news before we talk about it next week? Because we're going to be like wired from caffeine.
I was chatting with Sean about it last night, and you heard what he said about that.
Yeah, he said he wasn't too keen.
Mode.
He wasn't too keen on the story beats of the game thus far. Sean, well, there's a way on the internet.
Sean's the guy that gets everything like a week before it comes out.
Like he works hard to get it a week before all the time. But on the internet, they found a way to combine the executable for the beta with the full preload of the game, and you actually get access to it. So you can actually play the game right now. There's no word. Well, there is some word that Origin might be banning those accounts. So, do it with caution if you were going to do it, but it's for PC. But he was telling us, so like I said, this is a rumor, word of mouth type of thing, that the story beats were not that impressive. I'm really excited to see the story stuff. That's why I'm a little let down by that.
Yeah.
I was hoping that it'd be a little more. He said it's more like just cutscene type shit in between multiplayer matches. That's all it was.
That's kind of what I expected, and so I'm not disappointed. I guess like if the campaign, quote unquote campaign, blew me away, I was gonna be like, wow, this will be hands down the game of the year. This will be one of the best things I've ever played.
Because that's
even if it doesn't, I spent a whole weekend playing the same 2 goddamn maps over and over with half of the like shit I could unlock, and I was like, God, they could sell this for like $40.
Yeah,
like,
I would never got tired of those 2 maps. I'm never tired of them. I was never bored.
That in and of itself is what impresses me. So like if the campaign's lackluster, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, but people are arguing like, oh, well, I don't want to play full price if I don't have a single player, all the whiny babies on the internet.
Well, like, would you rather play like full price for a shitty single player? Like,
no.
Is that what you're looking for?
No, like what they did was they didn't outsource to a separate studio to do their multiplayer, like Tomb Raider or like all these other games that do their multiplayer outsourced. It's tagged on like BioShock 2. Like we don't want multiplayer games like that. I'd rather them just focus everything on one or the other.
Yeah, exactly.
What would be great, because they nailed this multiplayer. They nailed the whole system of the way the multiplayer works. It's so good. Like we're saying, the single player doesn't even work. It'd be great if maybe for a sequel to this game, they bring in an awesome campaign.
Right.
Because they already have the dynamics of the multiplayer set. They don't have have to work on that anymore. Like they just have to make new maps.
That'd be really neat if maybe a DLC down the road too. If they were like, here's, I'm hoping they don't go the route of BioShock Infinite and go like, oh, it's, here's fighting challenges.
Yeah,
kill
no,
10
I don't want that. I want that. It'd be because I like the world already, and I like, I think they could make a great story. But you're right. They should just focus on that if they're going to do that.
Right.
So maybe a sequel, because the multiplayer is flawless at this point. It's so good.
We haven't even played the game yet.
I know. That's what I'm saying, though. But just the beta is flawless.
Well,
so
I think the most important thing there, Greg, is that if a multiplayer game can nail atmosphere, then it's like, that's the greatest thing a multiplayer game could accomplish is nailing atmosphere. Because typically it becomes like, okay, it's a deathmatch now. Let's just go through the motions, hit boxes, X hits Y, hit points. No, like once you feel like you're in this world and you become enveloped in the atmosphere, that is a huge accomplishment for a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
And that's what, Josh, I was trying to interrupt you before, but that's the next thing, right? Like last year's E3, we saw The Division, we saw Titanfall, we saw help me out here. They're just basically trying Destiny, you name it. So they're trying to really hybrid this multiplayer single player thing. And it's a little bit of a disappointment to hear that maybe, Titanfall is already traversing like the less traveled path. They're paving the ways for new games, right? It disappoints me a little bit to hear that maybe this campaign is not. I mean, because Josh, we didn't expect it to be, but secretly we kind of hoped this was the new thing, right?
Yeah, and I hope that, like I said, if this is going to be, if this campaign weaves seamlessly into the multiplayer, then holy shit, like this is going to be the greatest thing ever. But I'll also say this, that like, one of my things about if they did a single player where you're playing a dude, is that there's a massive temptation to go the route of Halo or Killzone, where suddenly like, oh, now you're the guy.
You're the one guy,
the Titanfall creator. And now you have to go find the creator of the Titans. And he has the Pandora key, which is going to unlock the secret alien technology that was buried long ago. And everyone's going to go, hey, that's...
Right.
And so...
It could just be I mean, they don't have to go there. It could just be like a war story,
But I think that maybe the best way to tell that is multiplayer, because you feel like a grunt or a pilot,
Yeah, but the one thing I liked about the game, just from playing the beta, is when it opened up and you get into like that simulator for the first time for the training, and like you're sitting in that room and there's like a window outside. You got to see this world, and you're like this guy in this little room. Like I wouldn't mind a story about like the guy who starts from nothing and becomes like this awesome like general of the Titan army. I think
Johnny Rico.
Yeah, but
from Starship Troopers.
Obviously, these stories can only go so many directions. These sort of war stories can only go so many ways. I mean, I don't mind going through it if they can add some really awesome story elements in there. I think it's fun.
Right.
They can make it interesting.
Well, I guess what I would kind of hope is that, and whether it's this game or the sequel, when they talk about integrated single player into a multiplayer, is that I'd hope for something that's like maybe while you're playing, there's a single player objective where like it will go to one player, hey, you need to go here and rescue this person, or hey, you care about this, so go do this. And the objectives will change player to player, kind of based on where your story is.
I don't know. I feel like that's going to screw up any sort of like competition style gaming in the multiplayer world, because it's going to be
possibly
it's going to be different for everyone who's playing. You know, I just, the thing I like about good campaigns is it takes you to so many places. And even though there's a lot of multiplayer maps, if they take you to a lot of places while you're playing through a story and you can get into that story, I usually think it's better than multiplayer in general.
In general, I agree. I found myself distancing myself from multiplayer games recently. Not very recently, just like in the past 2 years, you know, like Call of Duty, we haven't really played that. Battlefield was broken. I found myself finding much more enjoyment with the single player, and I think Titanfall is going to change that.
Yeah. Like I'm saying, I'm not expecting any kind of amazing campaign from this one, but it could be nice in the future because they've already perfected the multiplayer to create, you know, an awesome campaign for that game.
Well, we'll see, because you know what? Maybe the beats of the story are, they're not narrative, but maybe they're elements that add detail that flesh out the multiplayer world better. You know, if you take it for what it's worth, and instead of them incorporating collectibles or audio logs to tell you a story, maybe you create your own through multiplayer, and the collectibles are just the campaign, you know?
Right.
So we'll see. Titanfall is Tuesday. I'm sure we're going to have a big thing. Josh, you're writing the review for that, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be terrible. I'm just letting you know.
I've already got my 0 out of 4 stars prepped, so get ready.
We'll get into news in just a second, but I've been playing a little Diablo recently. Past few nights, they have the Reaper of Souls coming out on the 25th, which is the first expansion. A long time coming. But apparently the game is good now, and I agree. They fixed all the loot problems and a lot of the other problems that the game had when it first came out. So it seems like a lot of buddies are making a return to Diablo. And if you haven't played Diablo 3 yet, it's a really good time to jump in. I highly recommend it. It's a lot more gratifying than it used to be. It doesn't have that early release syndrome where it feels unfinished and not well thought out. But
did you play it on PC or did you play on console?
PC.
Okay.
On my Mac, because it's a Blizzard game, and they know how to make games for Mac. But it's great. Yeah, new class coming out, Crusader. So, whatever. Diablo. Awesome. So, in news recently, I guess the biggest one, Josh, which you... well, actually, there's two pretty big ones. Josh, the first one is obviously Jack Tretton stepped down from Sony. And you have an article about that on the site.
Yeah, surprising only because of how good Sony's doing right now, right? It seems like every week Sony's letting everyone know where they're at in sales, and they consistently seem to be slightly ahead of their quota, slightly ahead of where they thought they would be, which is good. Obviously, Jack Tretton just came off of probably his... I don't want to get into hyperbole, but what probably the consensus would believe is his best E3 performance, where he came out and everyone said that, Sony destroyed Microsoft. And so there's been so much good press swirling around him right now. It was just kind of a surprise to see him say, hey, I'm out, and just kind of walk away, right, quote unquote, on top,
But he also says that this isn't the last chapter for him. He's moving on to another chapter. What that is speculation, but...
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's hard to know exactly where he would go. And very often you see people who are at the heads of Sony and Microsoft, they'll either kind of leave to a lesser position because they're not cutting it, but there's not really a lot of, Jack Tretton's been at Sony for forever. And if you read the article, he's been there since PlayStation 1.
19 years, I think, right?
Yeah, and so he's been there for an obscene amount of time. So for him to say, he's going on to the next chapter, he just doesn't seem like he would be the guy who's well, gonna do a startup studio and, let's find out what this downloadable game's all about.
Could you imagine? I mean, I don't know how many senior folks we have listening to us, but imagine having a job for 19 years.
Yeah, it's not.
No matter what position. 19 years?
That's your life.
And it's the same thing with... did we talk about Irrational shutting down on the podcast yet?
I don't think we did. No, we didn't.
Well, that's another thing where, we don't have to get deep into it, but Irrational obviously is closing. And it's that commitment. Does Jack Tretton from Sony want to get on another road to another light at the end, a release, a console or something. Does Ken Levine really want to get in another 8-year project? Like, these guys have lives. They have to figure out what they want to do. And, it's hard.
I guess that's true. Like, I could definitely see that where, like, if you're Jack Tretton, you just released the PlayStation 4, where do you go from there? How do you go? Like, how do you sit down in a boardroom and say, all right, guys, PlayStation 5, let's hear your ideas?
Right. It's just, you don't want to get on that same path. And not that it wouldn't be exciting, but for guys that have been doing that 20 years and guys that have lives outside of this is their job. Remember, I mean, to us, we look at them, as icons in the industry, but I'm sure he's got kids and he's got to worry about his life, what his age is. Same thing with Ken Levine. Like, what do you want to do? At that point in your life, you're so accomplished with what you've done that what's next for you is far more complex than just making another BioShock or just releasing another console. It has to be really well thought out from like a human perspective, So
I imagine that there's a much better feeling to what was the name of the guy who quit and went to Zynga from Microsoft? But juxtaposing the two of them,
it's funny how we forget his name. He was such a big name because he was such a fuck up during the release of the Xbox One, and now we don't even remember his name.
Yeah, it's gonna kill me. But anyways, the fact that like Jack Tretton can hand the keys off to someone and say, hey, just sit down and just hit cruise control if you want. Like, he's not leaving someone in a lurch. Whereas the guy who went to Zynga, it's basically like, hey, well, this really sucks. I don't know what to do. Figure it out. Good luck, dude. And just, I imagine it feels a lot better to leave on your own terms in a good situation than it does to kind of be forced out in a shitty situation.
Speaking of forced out, I mean, Sony Santa Monica lost a branch. Honestly, they fired an entire branch of Sony Santa Monica, so I don't know what that has to do with anything. They lost a few hundred employees, and Disney Interactive also laid off about 700 employees, which is about 26% of their overall staff at Disney Interactive.
I wonder if that's in regards to them launching now that they've launched Disney Infinity, is that what it is?
I don't know, because I think the department they did also covered mobile. Far more. I mean, it's 700 people, and that's a third.
Yeah.
Do you think
I wonder if I mean
rather.
this in the most respectful. Like, anytime someone loses their job, it's fucking awful. It's terrible. But there's just more and more a thing in the industry where you release your big game, and then you go and you basically axe a quarter of the department. Because that's why they were there. It's like, hey, we're ramping up. We need testers. We need programmers. We need, people to make sure that we're ready to go and we can get this thing out the door. We're hiring. Okay, we launched it. Get everyone out of here so we can now make money off this thing.
That's like the problem with any business, though. I mean, even at certain smaller businesses that I'm aware of.
Yeah, to be like, once again, it sucks that those people lose their job, but they get off and then they say, okay, who's ramping up now? What game is coming out that I can get on? Like, does Destiny need help? Does The Division need help? Where can I go get a job? And they jump on to someone else who's ramping up, and then they might hop off again. And so it's just one of those things where there are great jobs in games development that you can get in for years and years and years, but a lot of them are kind of piecework. You're contracted on for, about 6 months. You finish something, then you move on to the next thing.
Right. They're jobs, people. They're jobs. We like the work they do, but we have to realize that they're jobs.
Best of luck to everyone. I hope that all those people land on their feet.
So in other news, a long-awaited title finally got a release date. Its second release date, I'm pretty sure. Greg, you know what game I'm talking about?
Do you think it's still going to look as bad as when we saw it in October?
Well, they showed some odd footage in this most recent trailer, and people were speculating whether or not it was the 360 version, and that's trouble if it's not.
This is Watch Dogs, by the way.
Watch Dogs. Oh. Okay. Watch Dogs got a release date for May 27th of this year, believe it or not, and they confirmed in 8-player free roam mode. So I was going to get it for PlayStation 4, honestly, but when I heard 8-player free roam, obviously all my friends are, once again, this generation on Xbox, so I'll be getting it for that. But go ahead.
No, I did actually see that footage you're talking about, I think, on Reddit the other day, and they compared it to some footage that was released like last year. Everyone was complaining about how And then they were obviously saying it's because it's a PC demo. It's going to look a lot better. It's then
right.
I don't know.
They're just doing their wow. I mean, ever since the new consoles were released, I can't believe that every game gets its own discussion on a forum about whether it's 960p or 1080p or 770. People are doing all these pixel tests and stuff. And while it's not entirely unwarranted, like people like to be technical with this stuff, there was a really good animation put forward by a pretty popular online presence who talked about like the difference between graphics and aesthetics, how graphics is the technical and aesthetics is the artistic. So a game, something like Plants vs. Zombies, does not have to be technically impressive as well as it like is an overall aesthetic pleasure to experience. So people have to realize the difference where, in something like Titanfall 2, we're going to go back to Titanfall for a second. On Xbox One, obviously the PC version, the graphics are apparently way more impressive. But at the same time, we were talking about this atmosphere that it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter to a point. Unless you're really smoking 10 joints and you want to like live within this game somehow, it's not going to matter. I mean, did you, Greg, at any point playing Titanfall, or Josh, any point playing Titanfall, be like, wow, that looks terrible? No. Not once. Unless it was brought up to me, there was no texture pop in. There was no, it just, it probably could use more. I haven't played the PC version. So,
I saw some videos of the PC version that if when pointed out some of the textures by comparison, you notice the difference, but
right.
That's it.
But at no point playing the game was your gameplay interrupted by like a horrible texture problem or anything like that, right?
No,
not you either, right, Josh?
No, well, I mean, you're also like in Titanfall, you're moving so fast. You're not sitting there to inspect the foliage and be like, oh man, look how good this branch is. Because if you do that, you're gonna die.
Right.
Like, you're moving so fast. What the fuck does it matter? You're not getting a chance to really take in anything. You feel the atmosphere of war because that's what they're trying to create.
Right.
And so, yeah, I don't get into that. And if you're way into like making sure that everything's running at like the absolute best, go out and buy yourself a $2,000 PC, speak to someone about how to overclock it and get the like coolant that runs through tubes in order to like make sure that your games run amazing. Because frankly, if you're playing even on an Xbox One and PS4, you're not playing on the perfect thing to get the most out of your graphics.
Absolutely. Everyone, please take that advice. Everyone making these threads and these huge online Twitter debate discussions about like an 80 pixel difference. If you want, just go get it on PC and spend the $2,500, $3,000 to get your perfect graphic quality.
Yeah, these consoles are made just for the masses.
Right.
It's like a middle of the line.
I just can't believe we had a podcast maybe 10 or 15 podcasts ago where we talked about like gamer entitlement, which is something like I obviously love to discuss because I will talk about games till the cows come home. Obviously, we know that at this point, but that is the worst thing that's running rampant in gaming culture nowadays. Is just gamer entitlement, where it's like, I paid my $60, where some of that's true, people work hard for their money, but I paid my $60 and I want this to work. I want this to be optimal. And they don't do their research, or they do too much research, and they end up getting themselves disappointed and discouraged that like they didn't get the optimal experience that they deserve. I think being in the gaming community for such a long time, there has to be a certain amount of leeway. Not in Battlefield 4's case, but in certain cases. Go ahead, Josh. What were you going to say?
But to your point, while you're saying that, people pay $60 and that's a lot of money, definitely, hands down. But there has never been any industry, whether it's film, TV, music, anything. There has never been any sort of industry that gives you as much access and as much preview footage of anything, whether it's from release to actual, to when it comes out to its conception, than video games. Video games tell you, they'll give you concept videos from the start. They will give you trailers and demos from the start. You can't get a movie that says, hey, here's 15 minutes of this movie. Or it's incredibly rare for someone to be like, hey, here's 15 minutes of this movie. Just enjoy it. Here's a half hour of Wolf of Wall Street. Just watch it and see if you like it. Like, video games are constantly like, here's 15 minutes of actual gameplay. Download the beta. Play the game for yourself.
For free.
Like, there's so many ways. Yeah, for free. There's so many ways. Even after the game comes out, you can watch YouTube videos of other people playing it.
Do you think
you can go down to your local Target and play the game yourself?
Do you think that
stuff?
Do you think that begets the entitlement, though? The fact that it is all access, that the minutia is what we have to complain about?
I'm like possibly. Like, I mean,
I think it's a natural thing.
And like assholes are an Ouroboros, right? They circle back around on themselves. You give them until they go, well, now you've given me too much. I don't even want this. Why don't you put a spoiler alert on this? Like, you know, there will always be assholes in the world who will find something to complain about.
And the best place is the internet.
Yeah, well, exactly.
That's, man, we're Ouroborosing ourselves right now. But I think that's all I got. I mean, there's some more news, but fuck it, right?
Arkham Knight. We should talk about Arkham Knight real quick.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. Arkham Knight was announced. Batman Arkham Knight. It's going to be apparently the finale to the Batman Arkham series.
Drive around in a Batmobile.
Yeah, there's a Batmobile in it. The trailer shows Two-Face. It shows Penguin. Apparently, the Joker is not in this game.
That's good. That's good that Arkham's getting away from the Joker. They need to do that.
I am not a big fan of the Arkham series. Felt like a chore to me, but after watching that trailer, and I got a little nostalgia when I saw old school Penguin and Two-Face and a bunch of villains from my time, it got me a little excited.
I am excited because I am a fan of the Arkham series. I loved Asylum. I love City. I'm very excited to see what Rocksteady does in this.
Skipped right over Origins, huh?
Yeah, no. Well, and Rocksteady didn't make Origins, to be fair.
Right.
It was made by Montreal something. But anyways, they to see Rocksteady get to do the third piece of this and hopefully the finale. I really am counting on it being the finale because I'm to the point where I'm almost Batmaned out. At least this type of Batman game.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard fuss about Batman being annual. Assassin's Creed got all that fuss, and other games get that fuss. Everyone seems always pretty excited to get the Arkham games.
Yeah, I'm to that point where I kind of know what those games are. I know what they do. So I'm ready for Rocksteady to do something different. But I'm glad that they're going to get to do this third chapter on their terms, and I hope it's good.
Yeah, I hope it's good too. I hope that it is the closing of that series so everyone could shut up. Including you, Josh.
All right, fine. Fuck you.
But that's it. Anything else to add, guys? Greg?
I got nothing.
Nothing?
Nada.
I think we're all just excited for this week and the week after. March Madness is pretty official for games this month. What do we have in the pipeline? We have Dark Souls and Titanfall this week. The week after, we have Infamous.
Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, Metal Gear. Metal Gear 5.
Ground Zeroes.
Ground Zeroes.
Lufttrousers.
What's that mean?
That's from Devolver, the guys who did Hotline Miami.
Oh, okay.
So I'm excited about that. So.
What else we got? Josh, we got PAX East next month.
Yes, April.
We got PAX East. Everything should be all good. We're gonna have a good time.
Yay!
Hopefully you see some people you saw last year. And we have a site now to get interviews out on and shit, which is fucking dope and rad and all those other wicked awesome words, right?
Wicked awesome.
Right. So please check out the site, guys. We worked really hard on it. We're all going to be producing more content. And you know what? Do me a favor. Fucking comment on the shit. Fucking get involved. Like, I have Google Analytics on the site. I see that we do have some traffic, which is great. But I want you guys to get involved. I know some people on Twitter and on our email hit us up and give us suggestions for things like that. But we'll probably do some kind of giveaway or something in the near future to promote the site a little bit more. But keep staying involved, and thanks everybody for for the guys out there who do support and to help us out, because it really keeps us going. I know it keeps me going because there's a lot of times where we have these hiatuses and we have these problems where life gets in the way. But it's glad to know that people are actually enjoying what we're doing. So thanks everybody. And Josh, thanks for hanging out this week, man.
Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. I wish I could have like the Full House exit song right now. You know what you got to do, Greg. Greg, thanks for hanging out this week, brother.
My pleasure.
All right, guys, enjoy this week. It's going to be a really good one. We hope to see you next week at AwayCast.com. We'll see you guys later.
Evening TV.